everybody, Jeff here, and welcome back to the channel where we give you world-class videos on remodeling your homes, your kitchens, your bathrooms. We cover tiling, flooring, all sorts of engineering disasters, tool reviews, and shop with me through the local hardware stores. But today we have a great video here for you. We have a review here for you of the next generation in smart sprinkler controllers for your house. If you look down in the description below, we have a really nice table of contents for you. So just like a book, you can jump around to the different chapters that are important to you. So for example, if you're installing inside your garage and you're not installing the exterior housing, then you can skip the whole first half of this video. So we'll include all of those chapter timestamps down below for you in the description. Just find the one that you want to and click on it, and it'll take you right to that chapter. So you are looking here at the Rachio 3. This is the latest generation in sprinkler controllers. And you're probably looking at this thing going, there's no way, how could this be a sprinkler controller? This doesn't look like what I have now. Well, yeah, if you have that old ugly gray metal box with that yellow dial in there, and who knows, maybe you're missing some of those little timer pins in there that set your schedule, so now your schedule is way off. You can't control your sprinklers very well. That stuff's old school. You don't mess with that anymore. Hey, maybe you even have an old digital controller on your sprinkler system too. Well, this replaces that as well, and it's a lot smarter because this connects up to your Wi-Fi. So now you can control it through the app on your smartphone. Okay, so this is the second video in our series on home automation. Now, if you missed our previous video that we did before this one, that was on the Honeywell thermostat that also connects up to Wi-Fi, and you can control it from anywhere in the world as long as you have access to an internet source there wherever you're at. And so I'll put a link down in the video description below for you to that other video. Make sure you check out that one after you watch this one. That's a great video, and you'll learn a lot from that one about installing thermostats. Now, I got to warn you ahead of time, this is not going to be one of those 2-minute Home Depot videos filmed in a sterile Disney Magic Kingdom environment where nothing ever goes wrong. We're going to show you a real-world install here of an actual enclosure, exterior enclosure, with the actual installation of an actual controller and all of the problems that you're likely to come across along the way. Okay, now here's a caveat that I want to warn you about here with this Rachio 3 sprinkler system controller here. And they don't realize that this Rachio 3 sprinkler controller here is for interior use only. This is not meant to be used outside. So if you have your sprinkler controller in your garage or something, yeah, you're probably okay. But if your sprinkler controller, your current one, is outside, then you have to buy this enclosure, which is what I'm showing you right here. This is an outdoor enclosure, so it's made to be outdoors in the rain. So this particular outdoor enclosure is made specifically custom for this Rachio 3 sprinkler controller. Consists of this big white plastic controller here, and it looks very simple, but don't be fooled by its simplicity. It's actually a very complex controller inside there. So you lift off the lid here, and inside you can see there's really nothing much here. What you see here is you have your 8 outputs here going to the sprinkler lines here. Your common is here, your other control signals here, and your 24 volts is over here. So it's pretty cut and dry. It just goes in and out, and that's it. And you have this one button here for your main controls, and your connect to Wi-Fi is right here. That it's designed and built in the USA. So both the Rachio 3 Smart Water System sprinkler controller and the Rachio outdoor enclosure are both designed and built here in the United States. So as you can see here on the front of the Rachio 3 controller here, this particular smart sprinkler controller will control 8 zones. Okay, so this Rachio outdoor enclosure here has a very high-tech battleship gray look to it. And I like this high-tech pattern here on the front of the cover here. Reminds me of data being transmitted. Okay, so inside it's very simple. It's just a big open space in here, and then right in here is the wiring box here. So all the power wiring that comes in to power the controller will be wired in this box, and there's an outlet on the top of the little wiring box there for the controller power plug. And then the controller just sits right inside here. And so the way it fits is there's 1, 2, 3 screw holes there, and then there's 3 screw holes, 1, 2, 3 here on the controller. So it will screw onto the housing, and then the little lid will fit around the controller there. Now as you look closely around the perimeter of the lid here on the Rachio outdoor enclosure, you can see there's like a black rubber gasket going all the way around here. Now they're not really advertising this as IP53 rating or IP54 rating, so I don't really know what the waterproofing capabilities are of this box, except that it is an outdoor box, so it should be fairly waterproof. Now over here on the inside of the lid, you can see that it's got zones, so it lists all of the potential zones that you might have on your Rachio controller here, depending on which sprinkler controller you've installed. And so some people will use either a Sharpie marker to write on here, zone 1 is the front lawn, zone 2 is the hedges, or you can get one of those cardboard sticker type things and stick it on there, like we do with your main breaker box inside your house. Okay, so this is the original system that was put in 1993 here. Now this is an old Rainbird, which was professional and it was considered highly rated at the time. Although we had a lot of problems with this, I was never really that impressed. We always had problems with these buttons responding to the touch and everything. Just, there's 4 zones here, 1, 2, 3, 4. They each have their own wiring, and the wiring comes up and it goes into the bottom of the unit. So the exterior box that we're going to install on the wall to put the Rachio in has a hole on the bottom that will hopefully mate up to this. The problem we're going to have now is the wiring coming out of the wall in the back, because it goes into the back of this unit, but the Rachio unit has its hole on the bottom. So we may have to end up drilling our own hole or finagling it around a bit just to see how we're going to get that wiring inside that box. This was the rain sensor, and this was a big scam pulled on all the residents by all of our local cities about 10 years ago. The sensor here that the cities convinced all of us to go out and spend 50 bucks on. And the sensor is supposed to sit here and collect rain. When it rains, it's supposed to send a signal back to the controller here telling it not to come on. The problem is these things would never trigger. There's these little sponges in there. The problem is it just never would expand enough. And it was very aggravating. We would be in the middle of an unbelievable downpour, and it still wouldn't be enough. No matter how much we spun the thing around and adjusted it to all the different settings that it had, nothing ever worked. I used to come out with a cup of water and dump it into the top of it to make it actually trigger the mechanism. Newer, smarter system here from Racio gets online through the internet and goes to see if there was rain in your area, and if it was, it won't allow the system to come on. That's the much better way to do it. That's much more accurate. I can tell you from my own experience, my biggest pet peeve about golf courses and condominiums is I'll be driving down the street in the middle of a thunder shower and their stupid sprinkler system is on. And especially here in Florida, where a lot of times we have water rationing and restrictions and all that stuff, and these guys are exempt and they're just wasting water. Whereas you and I would get a ticket, people would call and turn you in if your sprinklers were on. Go figure. Okay, so I've got my fluke volt alert here. And you know, we've already tested it, so we're going to put it here and see if it's picking up a voltage there. So we know that these wires are hot right now here, see? So what we got to do is just go turn off the breaker inside the garage there. You got to make sure you cut off the circuit breaker first. So when you open this up here, see, here's the transformer. So this transformer here takes 120 volts coming in from the wall and converts it into 24 volts into the control signals here that go into the controller. And then here's your 4 zone wires here that are coming down. All right, so now that we've flipped that switch, we'll come back and test it, and sure enough, no more voltage, all gone. So now we can safely unwire all of this. So the first thing we want to do here is we need to get a picture of our wiring here. So let's go ahead and take a shot here. Shoot. Okay, so that took the picture there. Do another one here. Shoot. Okay, and then right here we just got to remove this nut here. It's threaded on there. So we're going to twist it off. Okay. And there you have it. So you can see this actually opens up another problem for us, because see, the wires come out of the conduit in the wall there out of the house, but we don't have a hole on the back of the new enclosure. So we're going to have to drill one. Okay, so you see the conduit there on the left, and what we're doing here now is we've got 2 pieces of blue tape here with the black lines on them. Those are my 2 reference points leading to the center of the conduit there on the left. So I'm going to use that to measure how far off it is from this point here to this point right here. See, I made a mark on the wall there right behind my conduit there coming up out of the valves. So what we're going to do then is the distance between this mark, that pencil mark there, and this other pencil mark right over here, where my finger's pointing, that horizontal distance is how far over to the left we need to make the back hole on the back of the unit there. Okay, as we take our measurement here, it comes in at about 3.5 inches center to center. You can see them right there. Okay, so I've made a mark here in the box right there. That's where we need to drill that hole. We're going to drill a 7/8 inch hole, and if we've picked that position properly here, then that means that that will fit right around that conduit coming out of the wall. Now we also have to do another hole here. You can see right here where my finger's pointed. I put another cross mark there. We have to drill another hole there because once the wires come in from the house through the wall, they got to go into there. To facilitate this task here, I've enlisted the aid of my Milwaukee Bulldozer set, and if you guys have never seen one of these before, these are great. I actually did a video on this Bulldozer set here a few weeks ago where we did a tool review comparing this set here, and we compared it to these Bosch Daredevil spade bits here. We did a great head-to-head. So anyway, if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to it down in the description below for you, so you can go and check that out. That's a really good video. So what we're doing here with these hole dozers, we are going to choose the 7/8 inch hole dozer right here, which is this one, and we'll hook it up to our drill here, and we'll use that to make a perfectly circle hole there for our wiring connectors to plug in if we need to. Okay, so there we have both of our holes drilled. Okay, now if you look right here, you see we're going to have this unused hole here now. We have to plug that up. You don't ever want to have any type of outlet enclosure box that has an open hole in the bottom of it when you're dealing with wiring. And so I'm going to reach into my DeWalt electric bag of tricks here and pull these out here. These are called knockout seals. Okay, and I'll put a link to these knockout seals down in the video description below. But basically what these are is they're little metal plugs here that are just made to snap into these holes here and plug up those holes. Put the rest back in there. So here's what your plug looks like. See, it just snaps right into the hole. Okay, now you can see our problem here is going to be getting this to snap in, because these are really tight to get them to snap into these holes. And then to reach back in here with only 2 fingers that I can fit in, I'm going to have absolutely zero mechanical advantage there, getting this thing to snap down in there, see? Well, you can see we ended up putting in the plug here from the outside. Okay, then now for here, you know, normally when you're dealing with metal boxes, because of the sharp edges of these holes, the code requires you to put some type of connector on there, okay? And so we're going to put this one here, even though this is really made for Romex, but I'm using it more or less just for its bushing type capabilities here. So the nut goes on the inside here. Okay, now as we make our final tightening of it, you want to make sure that these 2 screws here are sticking straight up so you can easily get at them with your screwdriver to tighten them down afterwards. And then we have to tighten the nut in here, and I usually do that with the tip of a flathead screwdriver. So now what we're doing is we've protected the wiring that's going to come into the wiring area here, because it's going through a smooth bushing type fitting there. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to hook the enclosure box up to the wall outside and get it all fitted and drilled into place. Okay, so now comes the big test. We're going to get everything fitted here. So we start with our wires going here to the valves, and we stick them up through here, through the output. This is our output port. And then remember, we have these other wires here that we got to stick through the hole that we drilled on the back. Those are the power wires coming out of the house. So everything's going to go right here like that. We want to take the ring here and get him threaded onto place there. Now if you see back in here, I don't know what they did, but they left us a very teeny little stub of a ground wire. This is bad. So what we're going to do is we have to attach a pigtail to that. Okay, these guys were real amateurs that did this wiring, so I'm going to have to try to clean off this ground wire here. See it right there? I'm going to sand it off here with some emery paper and try to expose it, make it nice and shiny. Okay, so we had a drought of rain here for the past month, and the 1 hour time window that I decided to come out and videotape, it's dumping down rain. Go figure. So we take all of our wires here now. We're going to run them through our little Romex connector that we connected up here. Okay, so now you can see we have all of the wiring exactly where we wanted it to. It came in from the hole on the back. It's going through our connector and it's safely into the wiring box area here. Now we just hook up the black to the black, the green to the green, and the white to the white. So the black is the live wire, the white here is the neutral, and the green is the system ground, the earth ground. All right. Okay, so now all of our 120 input wires and the ground, everything's all wired together there, and we're just going to push them back inside the box here. Thank God the AC unit over there finally shut off. Okay, so these are the Tapcon screws that we're going to use here. And the reason why we have to use these Tapcon anchors here is that we're going into a cement block wall here. So what we're going to do is level the box, mark the 3 holes, and drill them. And the reason why we're choosing these 2-inch long Tapcons here is because they want you to really embed about 1 1/4 inches into the cement block, and then you have about a 1/2 inch of space because of the standoffs on the back of this box here. Okay, since it's going to be difficult to get a pencil to reach through those long holes there, we're just going to level it here with the spirit level here, and we'll use the drill bit as our mark. So that's all we do. Okay. Okay, now the box is completely solidly held in place onto the wall there. We can now begin to install the Rachio 3 sprinkler controller. Now, so all we have to do is get it to go in right in here. And all we need to do is screw it into the 3 screws there. Okay, before we do that, I just want to point out one more important thing for you. And I see a lot of people do this when they're working outdoors. And when you thread this nut onto the fitting here, this is not a mount. Do not use that as a mount and think, okay, my box is mounted. This is nothing more than a connection to a fitting. The 3 blue Tapcons you see here in these 3 specified locations, those are mounts. Those are your mounting points. That's what securely holds this to the wall. One of the things that I like about this Rachio system here, they come with its own little transformer plug-in here. So you just go right there and plug them in and leave the wire hanging out here so that when we go to screw this guy on, so each one of those screw holes there gets a screw and a gasket. Now if you remember when we unwired the other controller here, we took that picture, so now we know red goes to 1, yellow goes to 2, green goes to 3, and blue goes to 4. Okay, so we have red in there in the first one, and you push up the button there, and they slide up from underneath into the hole there, see that? And then they're crimped into place. Bring it next. Now you can trim these down if you want so that the insulation just comes right up to the edge there. Okay, now this white wire here, that's the common. That goes right in here to the other common. Okay, now we're all connected. Now we take the other end of our transformer wire and we plug it in over here. So essentially what we've done is similar to what was done on the previous sprinkler control system. We put in this new Rachio 3 sprinkler control system here and wired in the 120 coming out of the wall. Then we connected up the transformer plug over here, and it now supplies its power to the board here on the Rachio 3 controller. Okay, so now here we just tuck in the remaining slack wire from that transformer plug there. Let's get all these guys back in there nice and flat. You don't want any wires protruding out. Okay, so the lid here is magnetic. So here's one magnet here, and here's the other magnet here. Just fit it around there, and there you go. Make sure it shuts and everything, snaps into place. So he's good, he's solid, he's installed. Now we have to go online and set this up with an account, and then get this thing programmed and get it tied into our internet. We have to be able to push that button inside there. Okay, so there's the Rachio right there. House and home. Let's install it. Now once it's done, you'll see the word open there, and you just click on it to open the app. and you want to create an account. So you scroll down and you choose here, don't have an account. So we're going to create a new account. Now that you've entered all of the account information, you hit create account. And it tells you that your account has been created. Okay, so now it's going to tell you there's no controllers. So what you want to do is you want to add the controller that you've got on there. And you give it permission, of course. So now they want to connect the controller to the account. So first they have to find the location here. You type in your address. So when it's done, it finds your house, and if you're okay with that, you hit done. Now it wants you to scan the barcode on the front of the controller, and you can see how the first quadrant is solid blue and the second quadrant LED is blinking yellow. That means it's searching for the Wi-Fi signal. Okay, so now I remove my tape that I had there, and then I'm going to scan the barcode. Okay, so now it's telling us that it's waiting for it to configure, and this really does take a couple of minutes for it to come back with an answer. So maybe the Rachio 3 controller has a problem with my network's WPA protocols for password, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to reset the Wi-Fi button here, and this causes the whole unit to reset. So you can clear everything out and try to get all of the information into it. You see, folks, nothing ever works like the 2-minute videos that they always show you. Okay, so I go over to the Rachio forums there, and I discover that many other people are reporting the same thing, that they can't get their Rachio 3 unit to connect wirelessly during this initialization setup phase. So after going back and forth with some of the customer service reps, we came up with a plan to wirelessly connect to my Rachio controller from the desktop instead of trying to work backwards automatically. Then, using a few commands in a command window, we sent the pertinent information into the controller to give it all of our network login information so it could connect. So we start the initialization process all over again. I go back out to the controller, I rescan the barcode again, we wait another 2 minutes, what seems like an eternity, and this time we have success. So after rescanning the barcode again and going through the process all over again, this time we were finally successful, because now the Rachio Sprinkler Controller was already part of our network. So now it's telling us about the Weather Intelligence Plus activated. Let's hit the next. Success. So now we'll name our controller and set up the zones. Okay, so let's head outside there and we'll gather all of our information about the zones and set them up. Okay, so first we want to test the zone, and if I tell it to test, it should turn on the sprinkler. Hey, how about it? There it is, the front lawn came on nicely here. And we told it yes, it's working. Okay, and of course here in Florida, South Florida, we always have warm season grass. Next. What type of head is it? It's a fixed spray head. Boom. Confirm the soil type. Just good old-fashioned loam. How much sun does this zone get? It gets lots of sun. How much slope does this zone have? It's a slight. So we've got that zone set up. You just continue this process for all of your other zones. So now we go to zone 2. Okay, so I'm calling it West Side Lawn. And we answer all the same questions as before. Lots of shade on the side of the house and flat. And that's it. You go through this process and set up your other remaining zones. Up to 8 zones on this particular Rachio Sprinkler Controller. Next zone will be the backyard. Okay, the final zone here was the front by the hedges here. Some of these obviously have issues and need to be fixed and adjusted here, but at least we know the sprinklers are all coming on there. Okay, now we're only using 4 of the 8 zones, so we're going to disable the next zones. disable that zone. And zone 6, disable that. Zone 7, disable that. Zone 8, disable that. So here we only have the 4 zones here. Okay, so we haven't set a schedule yet, but what I wanted to show you here, this is what I just love about these new smarter systems. This shows you the actual power of having these smart systems where it gets online to that weather information there and is able to extract it, and it's telling us when it's going to rain here. And it also shows here how we did some quick runs here and tested our zones. If we back out a little bit here, you can see here it shows like how much we've run each one of the 4 zones, which we did those tests that lasted almost a minute on each one of those zones there. And right now it's telling us we have a 24% chance of precipitation today. So the app has a lot of useful information for you, like lawn smarts and articles on dealing with all sorts of different facets of your lawn here. But what you're really looking for here is here. So let's look at our zones. So there they are, see? You can pull up any zone at any time and it will tell you when was the last time the zone was run and when's the next upcoming. So everything here is jiving with what we've done so far. We don't have a schedule that we have inputted yet. So here the first button that's of importance here would be the zones. So you can pull that up at any given time. It will show you all of your zones that you've programmed into the system and where they're at, front yard, backyard, west side, whatever. You can get all your usage quotes on there too. Okay, so back on the home page here, we would then go to calendar and we can pick what days we want this to be either water delayed, or we can pick a schedule. So we're going to do the schedule here. You create a schedule. We usually like to do the fixed type schedules here, and you can decide which zones you want to include. Like, so sometimes people might only want to water their hedges once a week, not 3 times a week, but yet the grass might want to get watered twice a week or 3 times a week. This is the flexibility that this allows you here, and here it's telling us here that we have the other zones disabled. Now for here, you got to know the rules in your city of when you're allowed to water, because that's how you have to tell it when to come on and off here. Let's try every 3 days. Yeah, and usually you, especially here in Florida, you want to end before sunrise. So that means typically you want the sprinklers to come on fairly early and be done by sunrise, because then the wind picks up. And if you turn your sprinklers on here at like 10 in the morning, it's fairly windy out and you're just going to be losing all of that water vapor. It's just going to be blowing away and not landing on your grass. Okay, so the start date would be today, and end is never. Now it'll ask you if you want to do the smart cycle, which kind of delays each zone, and I don't think I want to do that, at least for now. We'll figure out later whether we want to do that, so we'll say no. So now this is where we do the weather intelligence. So what they do is it uses all the local weather data to help keep our schedule from running when there's rain out. Do you remember how I told you how many times I see in the middle of a rainstorm, I'll drive by a golf course and I'll see their sprinkler systems just gushing water. Same thing with the giant condominiums here, and that's because they're exempt from it. And in my opinion, they're the ones that shouldn't be exempt from it. So we are going to allow it to choose all of these reasons here to give a skip on watering on a particular day. So here it's kind of chosen some water durations for us, and if we don't like those times, we can adjust them. But you know what I want to do? I don't really think the hedges need all that much water. They do just fine. So I'm going to cut that down to 10 minutes. And I'm still questioning whether the front yard needs to be on that long. So just to save money and still give it a decent watering, I think I'm just going to set it to 12 minutes. And if it looks like the grass is drying up, then we'll go ahead and adjust that. This right here, this screen right here, I believe is one of the strong points of any type of smart sprinkler system, over the dials and trying to figure out and set the little pins and all that. Because here I can set down to the exact digital minute here how long things can be adjusted, and very easily. And not only that, not only can you do this from sitting right here, you can do it from the beach in Hawaii if you're on vacation across the world right now. So hit next there. Creating the schedule. My favorite words right there, folks. there's our schedule. Okay, now if you choose the Thrive there, that's Rachio's system of basically fertilizer and scheduling of the sprinklers and all that. So it's a whole system, and you can buy this kit that has the proper amount of fertilizer and products and stuff like that. You can change anything on there. So here it shows like the zones that were tested and stopped. So it's actually pretty amazing that you know, it remembers every single thing you did with this system. Anytime you turn on a zone, it remembers it for you. That's just beauty. So look at this, it actually shows the map of your house there, and you can create a virtual map of your whole landscaping. And you can look at the weather intelligence. So here you can tell it not when it should or should not rain. So if it gets more than an eighth of an inch of rain, then it should not let the schedule continue. Now you can adjust that up or down. So I think for now I'm going to experiment with 0.0625 or more. So that way if it rained even a little bit, hey, that's enough for me. If it was enough to get the street wet, I'm happy camper. I don't need a downpour. Here, check this out. This is a good one too. Wind skip, so it'll tell it not to water if the wind is over 20 miles an hour. Don't water if the temperature is 32 or below. That'll never happen here in Fort Lauderdale. Maybe once per year. This is interesting here. You can even control the brightness of the light bar on the front of your unit there. And there's even a control on there to minimize water hammer. Many of you might have this where when water shuts on or off in the house, the pipes start banging because of that quick turning on and off of water. So they can minimize the banging if you have problems when your sprinkler valve's open. Here they give you more advanced information on the M terminal, like if any of you need to use that master valve, if you have one, it tells you how to do all of that. And technical info here. So now let's say you update your Wi-Fi network in your house. You put a new network in, or you add one of those network extenders. That means you're going to be signing on to the network extender now, no longer to the router directly. So that you would come in here and go through the whole process of setting up to a new network again. Okay, so the Rachio Sprinkler Controller here has one other feature here for manual mode. So right here is our manual operations here, and this here advances it backwards by the zone, and this here fast forwards through the zones. Now we've only got 4 of them, so watch, I'll show you. So you'll see it change the LED here on the bar. So there's the first zone, second, third, fourth. To start it, you just hit play or stop, just like operating a video recorder. So you hit the play, and you hear the first one starting up here. And sure enough, there's zone 2 going at it. And you'll notice that the zone 2 blinks. And we can go back to zone 1. And now it'll make the front lawn will come on next. And so there's the front lawn on. Already I am liking some of the alerts that the Rachio Sprinkler Controller here gives us here. For example, check out this alert that it sent me. It sent me an email here telling me, hey, I'm offline here. So I would never have known that it went offline. So basically I come outside, I do a quick test on it, and reset the Wi-Fi, and it's back online again, no problem. It will still run the scheduled zones that it was going to do. Here's another alert that it sent me here telling me, hey, we're predicting rain tomorrow, so we're going to scrub and skip this particular watering coming up tomorrow morning. So that was kind of a cool feature too. Remember I told you this was one of the more powerful features. Here is another alert here telling me, oh, we skipped the watering today because of the rain. And of course, on the app, you can see that the rain occurred here. Also, if your Rachio Sprinkler Controller ever goes offline here, the cool thing about it is you can fix it right here in the app. It tells you in the app that it's offline, and you can troubleshoot it right there. It's got a whole bunch of really good instructions. Well, we certainly hope you found this video useful, and thanks for sticking it out to the end. I know there was a lot to cover here. And if you found this video useful, hey, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up down below. That lets us know that you like us. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hey, why not? You see the great content you get here. So go ahead and click on that subscribe button down below there. And when you do that, click that little gray bell icon there and tell YouTube to alert you every time we upload a video, because you don't want to miss one of our videos. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks, and we will see you on